What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Summoner's War Chronicles Monster Spotlight. Today we have Igmanodon, the Fire Lizard Man. Let's go ahead and dive onto his kit. Now, his basic attack is just that. Ain't nothing special we gotta worry about there, so we're gonna move right on over to his first ability. Being a warrior, his skills are going to be based off of defense and attack. However, with Igmanodon specifically, his defense scales higher than his attack. I don't remember currently if this is true for all warriors or just a few of them, but for Igmanodon, it's definitely you want more defense than attack. He also applies crit rate down at level 2 and has a chance to apply poison, the poison being a 70% rate to an 82% rate for anywhere from 15 to 25 seconds, depending on the level, plus 2 stacks of crit rate from 10 seconds to 16 seconds, guaranteed so long as you land it with that accuracy. That's great for stomping on some bosses' crit rate or even some enemy summoners in arena to slow down their damage a little bit, make it a little bit harder for them to just overpower you. It's not a total stopgap, though. Moving on to his second ability, it is not only based off of attack and scales higher off of defense, but also he gains some damage per percent loss of his HP. For every percent of his HP that he loses, he gains 1% more damage. He also blocks beneficial effects for anywhere from 10 seconds to 16 seconds, so long as, again, you have that accuracy behind you to land that debuff. This is absolutely key for just about any situation. The reason is because... Wow, I just sounded like Shino straight out of Naruto. The reason block beneficial effects is so effective against so many things is because it's not considered crowd control. While they aren't able to get any buffs, such as continuous heal, shield, crit rate up, attack up, defense up, attack speed up, anything like that, can't get that 16 seconds. It's not crowd control, so there's no immunity really to it other than the enemy having actual immunity on them. So unless it gets cleansed or they've got immunity 90% of the time, they're not going to be able to just say, nope, I'm straight out immune to that from their passive kits. Makes him super useful in a lot of places, especially since he's a warrior and his damage scales off of defense. He's not a tank, keep that in mind. He's not a knight. He's a damage-dealing defensive cruiser. He also comes with a passive skill that increases his crit resistance by 50%. I'm currently unaware as to what exactly this entails, as there's a couple of ways to go about it. It doesn't show up in your stat blocks for him at all, as it's not something you can actively modify. Or I forget, it's anywhere from 30 to 50% depending on the level. But crit resistance, I'm assuming, means that the enemy would need an extra 50% crit rate in order to somewhat bypass this. Either that, or it's just a flat out, there's a 50% chance at max level that when the enemy crits, it doesn't actually crit, and therefore they do less damage to him. If anybody knows the definite answer to this, please let me know in the comments. That would be awesome. And let's go ahead and move on to his runes and applications. I would definitely consider a Rage Blade for him, as most of his, well, maybe not most, but definitely all of his skill damage, is going to be based off of that defense, more or less. As it does scale higher, you definitely want to stack that more, just because that adds more damage than attack would. That being said, his basic attack still does go off of pure attack, so you might want to think about keeping some of that in mind when going to rune him. Personally, I'd probably, if I could, since his basic attack is just that, I wouldn't worry about attack speed. so much as you're relying more on his skills for his block benefits, crit rate down, things like that. So I would probably do like not even a Rage Blade, come to think of it. As you can see, this is another monster I've just kind of had to throw on runes just to get his stats up there to use him. But I would probably stick him in a couple of... He's going to need precision, obviously. I'm trying to focus. What's the name? Focus and or guard sets is what I'd mix him with there. If you're feeling frisky and, want him to be a little bit more offensive and get that crit rate on there, by all means, throw a Rage Blade on there. Throw 3 blades on there to help with that crit rate so you don't have to worry about it so much in the substats. Even though he is a DPS monster, and I constantly tell people that you need to worry about attack speed with your DPS monsters, no matter their class, this is somebody that, being as you're building him with more defense, or at least that I'm building him with more defense, I'm not going to worry about his basic attack and how fast it swings, because I'm not looking for his overall DPS output. I'm looking to make sure that his skills do some monstrous damage and that he lands those debuffs. So precision, accuracy, and defense are what I personally would look for. Makes it super simple when coming to runes and helps him get that stuff in there. That being said, that leaves me with some options, so I could look into more crit rate and crit damage, even because his skills still go off of, some crit and crit damage there. To help with his DPS. I would definitely recommend taking him in for Holidays, especially if you don't have somebody who can strip away enemy debuffs like Wind Monkey King or Wind Polar Queen, to help kind of... I can't think of the word, to make it so that he doesn't get as many buffs stacked up as quickly, to kind of put a plug on that flow, to choke hold it a little bit. It's not a perfect solution for Holiday specifically, but it does work to a point, and it will help to keep his damage lower. But like I said, he's useful against just about any boss with that block beneficial, as it's not considered crowd control. Crowd control would be something like stun, sleep, silence, freeze, things like that. Anything that would overall inhibit the monster's movement and or direct hit. So that's all I have for Igmanodon. So that'll bring us to a close. Just remember that I do stream on Twitch just about every day, noon o'clock Central. Catch me there if you can and or want to see me just running around with my head cut off, basically. Like, I've got absolute zero focus when it comes to that. So, if you want to help support the channel, remember my PayPal link is also in the description below, and let me know who you want to see in the future, If I don't have them, I'll try to get them. I'll definitely try to get them spotlighted. Other than that, y'all have a wonderful evening, morning, day, whatever time it may be, and stay frosty out there.